The man went out fishing as usual, but just before he reached the sea, a fog rose. He thought it was just a little fog, so he continued on with his boat. He saw that the fog was getting worse, so he reeled in his line and prepared to return. A yacht slowly drifted by. He shouted and no one answered, so he tied his boat to the sailboat. He was going to go up and find out what was going on. There was no one on deck, so he went into the cabin to check it out. Inside, there were all the necessities of life. It was obvious that the owner had been at sea for a long time, but he searched all the rooms. There was no sign of the owner. He tried to call the port control center on the ship's radio, but there was no signal, so he stepped out of his cabin and prepared to leave. But when he came back on deck, he realized that the boat he had tied to the railing was gone. He rushed to his cabin to find a telescope, but he couldn't see anything but fog. He could only sit on the boat in frustration. I don't know how long it took for the fog to lift. He picked up the binoculars again, but he still couldn't see his boat. He tried to start the boat, but the engine didn't respond. Even the rudder was broken. He could only raise the sails, and drifted with the wind, in the middle of the ocean, without a compass. He soon loses his way. He tries again to call for help by radio, but there was still no response. Frustrated, he went on deck to take a leak. The sail suddenly turned on its own and knocked him over. Luckily, he reacted quickly. He grabbed the railing with his hands in time, but the boat was traveling at a very high speed. The current under his feet was very fast and dangerous. He struggled desperately. With all his might, he threw himself. He was able to get his feet on the hull. He leaned against the rail and gasped for breath. He was glad to be alive, but the weirdness was just beginning.